What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the February 19th, 2024 edition of Raw Talk. I talked about it in my SmackDown Lowdown review from a few days ago. Matt Camp is gone from WWE. Per PW Insider and Fightful Select, he was released about 2 weeks ago, so which is why he was not on the show last week. SmackDown Lowdown, Raw Talk before that, blah, blah, blah. So his last show was a couple of weeks ago. He's gone now. He's being replaced on this show by Sam Roberts and on SmackDown Lowdown by Scott Stanford. So previously it was Megan and Matt doing both shows. Megan's still doing both shows as the host, but now the analyst is Scott on Saturdays and Sam Roberts on Mondays. So not exactly a bad combination. I like Scott Stanford. Sam Roberts isn't bad either. He's not bad. He's got some good analysis coming from a fan standpoint, a lot like Matt Camp. Matt Camp, I still thought he excelled in the role, and it was definitely dumb to let him go for whatever reason, unless there was some sort of scandal going on or whatever, which I highly doubt involving fucking Matt Camp of all people, but still a pretty dumb decision to let him go. Sam Roberts, I think, will fill in that gap quite nicely going forward. Again, he's no Matt Camp. Matt Camp is slightly better at this sort of stuff, but maybe Sam Roberts can grow over time. I thought he did perfectly fine on this show, though. So to open up the episode, they run down the biggest headline from Monday's show, which that overall was actually a really good Raw, very strong show overall. Did my full written review of the show soon after Raw was over last night, so check that over at WrestleRant.com when you get a chance after this video, of course. They recap the Judgment Day win over Truth, Miz, and DIY in 8-man tag team action, which the crowd was super hot for R-Truth. He ate defeat regardless at the hands of Damian Priest. We hear from Judgment Day backstage with Jackie Redmond, and Damian Priest criticizes Jackie for not only doing an interview with R-Truth earlier in the show that was taped earlier in the day, and Truth was outside wearing a fucking poncho. It was like sprinkling outside, and he was wearing a poncho, which was funny. He wore that same poncho to the ring for the match during the show. But he not only criticizes Jackie for being pro R-Truth, but also for being on TikTok a lot, I guess. I don't know. I'm not on TikTok. I don't know what Jackie does on TikTok. Damian Priest here did not approve. Neither did Finn Balor. He calls in the entire Judgment Day, WWE's most dominant force, does Priest. JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio will take on Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne on Friday's SmackDown, which was taped a couple of days ago. And that's before the other half of Judgment Day, Balor and Priest defend the tag team titles against Bate and Dunne on Saturday's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So they invite them to join them on SmackDown, potentially be in their corner, help even the odds. It's not exactly evening the odds, it's actually stacking the odds against Bate and Dunne in that match on Friday. So we'll see if Balor and Priest end up showing up for that show. I haven't read the spoiler, so I don't know. And that's about it. Balor just says he hates doing interviews, and that was it. That was the end of the interview. So I thought this was entertaining. Back in the studio, they preview the Judgment Day, Bate and Dunne for Elimination Chamber for the tag team titles. Sam Roberts says that they're going to Perth, Judgment Day is, to remind people why they have all the gold. They also preview Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship at Elimination Chamber. Sam says that Jax has brought something real out of Rhea Ripley going into Elimination Chamber, maybe vulnerability perhaps, and I still don't think Rhea is in any real jeopardy of losing her championship on that show, but I appreciate the attempt to kind of make it feel like Jax has a chance. They replay the Women's Battle Royal that saw Raquel Rodriguez not only return but emerge victorious and punch her ticket to Elimination Chamber, earning the final spot in the Women's World Championship #1 contenders Elimination Chamber matchup. They also recap the brawl later on between all the Elimination Chamber combatants and Nia Jax laying them all out. We hear from Raquel Rodriguez backstage. She says it felt right to be back in the ring. She talks to Kathy Kelly here. She said it felt right to be back in the ring, winning this match, building momentum. She calls Jax threatened by Raquel. And she also says that Rhea should be threatened too. And she plans to carry her momentum into WrestleMania. I like that Raquel is back. No pun intended. I thought she came across well here. I think she's very talented. I don't really like her as a babyface. She's not overly interesting in that role. But another thing I think it was funny because she neglected to mention here during her promo, not here necessarily, but on Raw. She mentioned in that revolving door of promos with all the Elimination Chamber women. She was like, oh, I'm the biggest woman in the match, and I'm going to stand a threat to Nia and Rhea, completely forgetting the fact that she has lost to both women on multiple occasions on WWE television in the last 6 months. She lost to Rhea Ripley at least twice, and she lost to Nia Jax the last time we saw her on television a couple of months ago. So I'm glad she's back, but she's faced these women before and has lost, so hopefully next time will be better. I still don't think she wins the chamber, though, nor should she. Anyway, so they preview the Women's Elimination Chamber match. They replay the Cody Rhodes loss to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre handing Cody Rhodes his first pinfall loss on WWE TV since WrestleMania 39. And yeah, you're probably thinking, well, what about the Brock loss? Are they completely glossing that over because Brock doesn't work here anymore? I mean, they are, but Brock did not pin Cody. He forced him to pass out in the fucking armbar, that goofy-ass finish from Night of Champions last year. So he didn't technically pin Cody. He did not pin Cody. He forced him to submit via technical submission by knockout, whatever. So Cody Rhodes, prior to last night, had not been pinned since April of last year by Roman Reigns. So it was a pretty big deal. Sam says that Cody Rhodes still has not learned from his past mistakes. They preview the Men's Elimination Chamber matchup, where the winner is going to earn an opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Sam calls it the most unpredictable chamber match we have possibly ever seen. And again, I like Sam. His analysis on the show, for the most part, was pretty decent. You know, it was fine. That was one of the most ridiculous fucking things I think I've ever heard. I'm not to say everyone in that match has no chance aside from McIntyre, but it's pretty clear cut to me that Drew is winning that match. Maybe they swerve us and give the win to Orton or give it to LA Knight on maybe a dark horse type thing, perhaps. But we fucking know Bobby's not winning, Logan Paul's not winning, Kevin Owens isn't winning. To me, it's pretty obvious McIntyre's winning that match, especially as the only Raw guy in the match. Again, maybe they're swerving us, but it's certainly not the most unpredictable chamber we have ever seen. That is one of the dumbest things I've heard in a while, so he probably shouldn't have said that, but I get it, it's a WWE show, whatever. I don't know if Matt Camp would have said that, but again, I don't want to compare the two. They recap the Chad Gable win over Ivar on Raw. Chad Gable says that momentum is key right now, and he wants to put a stop to Ivar's momentum, because he calls, the Viking, he said the Viking Raiders, but Eric hasn't been around in months. He's talking specifically about Ivar, and not really Valhalla, but more so Ivar. He praises him and puts him over as being dominant the last couple of months, beating the Alpha Academy, including himself a month ago, but he wanted to put a stop to Ivar's momentum so he can build his own momentum, put the focus back on himself. Saying that, listen, I put all my focus and effort into the Alpha Academy for the past 2 years, and he has. He's done a great job. It's actually been 3 years. The Alpha Academy initially formed back in late 2020. So they've almost been together for 4 years. It's really been closer to over 3 since late 2020, and we're in February of 2024. So really over 3 years, but that's a long time. And they added in Akira and Maxine Dupree, and they're entertaining and all, but he's right. The focus should be back on Chad Gable. And he says his ball is rolling on the fast track to WrestleMania. Now, this was a great promo. I wish this aired on Raw. We did get to hear from Chad before the match on Raw last night. I thought that was great. I wish this also aired on Raw. Maybe he'll say something similar on Raw next week. I don't know. It is worth noting, though, he made no mention of the fact that he wants to go back after the Intercontinental Championship. He did not say, as he has in the past, I want to set my sights back on that belt, get revenge on Gunther, blah, blah, blah. That, to me, had he said that, would have indicated he is gunning for that championship specifically. He's very well still could, and I would not complain because that would be my ideal scenario. They're waiting a little too late to kind of build him back up to that point, to make him feel like a credible threat to that championship after Gunther's been dominant and Gable has not won a single fucking match beyond last night in many months. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with the Intercontinental Championship going into WrestleMania. I'll talk more about this in depth on Thursday's WrestleRant radio, and I feel like it's a weekly discussion at this point. I thought it would be Braun Breaker facing Gunther, but Braun Breaker is on SmackDown, and it would be very weird for him to challenge for a Raw Championship at this point if he's now on SmackDown. So it's not Breaker, it's not Brock. It's either, to me, it's got to be Sammy, Chad, maybe Andrade. Sheamus is a long shot. If they can bring back Sheamus in time, and the next month he's cleared and good to go, and they put him on Raw. I know he was on SmackDown the last time that we saw him, but maybe they work something out. I don't know. Where he shows up on Raw, it doesn't really matter. Sheamus, I would love to see Sheamus go for the belt and finally win it, but I don't think that's going to happen. Gable would be great, but again, the fact they did not mention the championship here makes me a little less optimistic that that's the planned match for Mania. They very well could not know for a fact yet what that match at Mania is going to be, but I wouldn't completely count out the possibility coming off this great series promo from Chad and the fact they had him beat Ivar last night. I mean, that does, in and of itself doesn't really mean much, but what was the point of the match? They're not at Elimination Chamber. I mean, I don't know. We haven't seen Gable on the show in a month. So the fact that he was on the show and he won a match, to me, tells me there is a chance that we could see him challenge for the championship in Mania. I don't want some multi-man bullshit, not a triple threat. It's got to be a singles match between Gunther and someone else. It's either Gable, Sammy, Andrade, or Sheamus. They could throw us a curveball, and it's like the fucking, I was going to say The Miz, but The Miz can't challenge for the championship as long as Gunther's champion. We found that out a couple of months ago. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. To close out the episode here, Megan Morant acknowledges his change in demeanor for Chad Gable during the interview. Speaking of Gunther, they replay the Gunther-Jey Uso main event, Gunther retaining his Intercontinental Championship with an assist from Jimmy Uso as expected. Sam Roberts says that Uso should have had his head on a swivel, that being Jey about Jimmy. They're on obviously a collision course heading into WrestleMania, which was expected, like I said. And to close out the show, they run down the Elimination Chamber card for Saturday to the theme of the show. Love when they do that shit. They did it on Raw as well, which I really like. Kind of a short show for Saturday. I assume it's still going to end up being like a 3+ hour show. But we got 2 chambers, 2 regular matches, and a Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Maybe Rock shows up. Maybe Rowan shows up. They're not advertised as of now, but that's the card as it stands currently. And they also plug Rhea Ripley for the bump on Wednesday. So pretty solid edition of Raw Talk here. I thought the Chad Gable promo was great. We got to hear from Raquel. We did on Raw as well, but I thought her promo here was a bit better. We also heard from Judgment Day, and they were entertaining. So for the first, I guess Sam Roberts was on the show last week, but for his first official show on Raw Talk, I thought he did a decent job. Megan Morant was good as always. Ended up being a pretty solid edition of Raw Talk, I thought. So thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content, including a big interview on Thursday. I've been dropping older interviews in the last couple days here on the channel. A lot of archive stuff I never had a chance to post until now. So enjoy that content. But a new, fresh interview coming on Thursday here to the channel, along with the usual WrestleRant radio excerpts. Take a guess on who it is, but it is a pretty big interview, someone I've never talked to before, heading into Elimination Chamber this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. It will also be dropping on Bleacher Report in article form that Thursday, that same day, and also on WrestleRant radio in audio form. It is an audio interview, not on Zoom, unfortunately, but still a pretty big get for the channel. Pretty big get as far as an interview goes, and they were awesome, so keep an eye out for that on Thursday. Have a great one, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.